thousand in giving. That's both like regular giving and building fund giving. So that was last year, 258,000. This year, at the halfway point, we're on pace to bring in like 260,000. So we're right on pace for as from last year. And we budgeted this year. We estimated that our total giving or income would be around 210,000. So we're on pace to exceed our budgeted amount by 50,000, which was kind of the same as last year. I mean, we had a really good year last year. We're continuing to have a good year, as far as giving goes this year. So we're projected to exceed our budgeted income by 50,000. And even within that budget, so I didn't bring, the numbers to, like we do in the January meeting, but even within that budget, that 210,000, there is about 25,000 margin or extra. So we always budget conservatively, both on the income and on the expenses. So when you think about it, we're projected to be kind of in the black, in the good for the year by about 75,000. When you take that 25,000 that we already accounted for in the budget, and we're going to probably exceed giving by 50,000. 50 plus 25 is the 75,000. And then the loan that we are going to take out for the building, depending on how much we end up actually needing for the loan, it's the annual loan payment. Well, it's going to be monthly, but the annual amount will be anywhere from like 30 to 35,000 a year, and that just depends on how much we draw. And we were actually, those payments really won't start in earnest until probably like next year, because we get like a grace period on interest for a few months. So we really won't be paying like the full amount of that loan payment until probably early next year. So that was just an update on financials. Is there any questions on the numbers? Okay.
Kyle, can you throw the pictures up? So we wanted to give you an update. Since the last meeting, there was a lot of questions, and we wanted to let you know that we answered all your questions that were asked. So the process has been very busy. The drawings, as far as the prints and that, have been completed and sent to Pickaway County for approval. So that part's done. We'll go over the budget that we actually have and what we're going to do. Some of the items that were addressed was, I know there's a parking lot issue that was asked about last meeting that's been thrown into the new building as well. That will be the north side of the parking lot will be extended all the way to the property line and probably add about 40 to 50 spots. It'll just be gravel, but that was added. We asked, one of the things was asked was about a turnkey budget or turnkey price. So we got one from Schrock Building, and it came back at $1.8 million. So that was insane. So, but we did get one. That's what we asked for, and that doesn't even include audio and visual. That just includes the building. That would be included. So it would actually cost more money than that, or chairs or anything. That's just the building. So that was done. We did switch builders. We were at the last meeting. We were talking about Swiss, and we were given another name of EB Builders, and they actually came in with more labor and cost. It's about $75,000 cheaper for the same, and they have already built. PJ has already went and then saw one of their buildings. I think it was Ryan Mass. Ryan Mass actually had the exact same building built size-wise that we would be building here, and we got to go see it. So, or PJ got to see it. So those are the things. The drawings are pretty accurate as far as what we're going to have. It's going to be metal, except for the front. We'll have the stone that matches the front stone. The building front will have stone. Can you throw the other one up, Kyle? So it's hard to see, but if you want to see the prints, they're actually out there in the narthex that are actually done. That's the certified drawing that was sent. So between the upstairs has also been completed as far as the drawings. They just got submitted today, and so we'll be ready to go as far as drawing wise when it's time for that. So somewhere around 550 seats total in the church. The bottom will sit about 350 and probably 200 upstairs will be, but if you can fluctuate, depending on how close everybody wants to get. So if we keep it as close in here, you could probably fit 400 down the sanctuary. The goal is to turn this room here gets turned into our, including in the budget, is to turn this into our fellowship hall with 20 round tables, which will seat 200 people with new chairs as far as with just metal chairs. So that's also included in the budget when you see the numbers. Can you throw the budget up, Kyle? All right, so I'll have John come up here in a minute and we'll talk about this, but explaining what we did, we created an Excel spreadsheet with all the types of work that we needed to get done. And we had, the left column is our estimate, and then we actually have actual cost on 95% of it. We're still waiting on Chillicothe Fire for the alarm system, but they have to get different type of drawings before they can give us an estimate. But the numbers were really close. And it also has the contractors listed in there and who's doing what. So part of the concern last time was maybe that we were gonna have to do too much work. Almost probably 75 to 80% of the building will actually be built by contractors. So the stuff that we will be doing is that the church is responsible for will be is in the yellow. The red squares are items that we can save money yet on. We don't know. There's some, like the drywall, the guy, it's across the street. There's some item, we might be able to help him a little bit with some of the drywall. He'll take some cost off. The HVAC guy said if we provide some labor, he'll take some cost off. And then, so there's some items that we can save money yet on. So the total, what we did was, can you scroll all the way to the bottom there? So the total actual cost of the building that we have figured in now is around $776,000. And then the 10%, which is typical of construction projects for overages, because something's going to go up between now and when we need it. That's guaranteed. So the total cost is around $853,500 basically is what we have figured in for the cost. We have bids for everything. So these numbers are they're not guesses. So they're done. And then John, you want to come up? So before he comes up and goes over some numbers and how we plan to do our job, does anybody have any questions that from the last meeting to this meeting about what we plan on doing? Yep. So the finished electrical is just that's not actually doing work. That's just us supplying the lights and stuff that we pick out, and then they're going to hang them. But they're not supplying any of the light type of lights we want. The doors, we're purchasing those. The flooring is going to be the carpet squares. The lumber is all just the interior stuff, not including the walls on the outside or any of that. That's all done by EB Builders. So this is just the interior walls like bathrooms, nursery, stage, stuff like that. The installation, the gas utility, and then the second floor trusses, the wood trusses in the flooring, the drop ceiling in the bathroom and nurseries, and of course the bottom part is just sound AV chairs and furniture, which we were already going to do anyways. But there's no major trade, I guess you'd say, that we're doing. Everything else is subbed out, and the contractors that are over there are listed as who is going to do the work.
this, or it's only a couple people that's doing all that, it still becomes a lot of work, right? I know I consulted on the gas utility, but I can't actually do it because my guys will be the ones that do the inspection, so
Right.
somebody else has gotta do that, right? So when we look at that, if nobody else is willing to thread some pipe and use some pipe wrenches, and it's not that I don't wanna help, I can't do it because of my job, with what's there, so.
Well, John's gonna go over the schedule and stuff when that's done. But as far as the questions that, I know that the parking lot was asked, I know the drywall was asked about getting somebody to do the labor, which we did. We were asked about getting a turnkey budget. Was there anything that I missed from the last meeting that people wanted answered?
Well, I just wanted everything priced out, and then we could extract what things we could do. So if nobody's willing to lay flooring, because that's one of the things up there, right, with the pricing.
Yes.
So what if nobody in the church is willing to do flooring? I'm throwing this out there, right, then what does that cost become?
So, well, we already have the people saying they're doing it for it, so.
So John has the information, I think, that Scott is looking for. He's looking for the sign-up sheet where the church family has come together and said that we would do this.
So,
Correct?
great, yeah. Besides, we'll let John go talk about the work stuff. Does anybody of the building end of it have any questions that wasn't answered?
I'll wait till John.
Yeah. All right.
Any more questions on the budget? Because, I mean, I really dove in and ran the numbers. I mean, as far as Lowe's, they have been very gracious to us. We've got a 25.33% savings. All of our material coming from Lowe's will be $57,000. The savings was $19,383. Like Pat said in the budget, some things will change. One of them is paint, because Lowe's has guaranteed me that we can get the paint for 53% off. But on top of that, we get the gift cards of the 2% of the $57,000. So paint's probably not going to cost us nothing because we can use the gift cards to buy it. So, you know, the numbers can change drastically as we go through. Kyle, you want to pull up my project manager? Go to the sheet. So I use a program at work, and I went ahead and used it for the church. It's called Project Manager. It's kind of hard to see, but everything's listed out by dates. I've assigned different people different jobs, and I can track the progress as the project goes on, and as I work with the contractors and the church family as we try to accomplish this big project. But I've tried to get it as close to up to date as I can until I have a contractors meeting. It's kind of hard to put the hard dates in. So with this program, it also generates us a calendar. Like if you look under the, well, go ahead, Kyle. Under the contract construction part, there's a piece there that is the removal of the overhang. And it says it starts on 7/3 to 7/7. So with that being generated, I'll work with Gina, because Gina's kind of my secretary. She's taking care of the emails, and Susie's taking care of text messaging. So we're trying to get worksheets out 2 weeks ahead of time before any work's needed done. And then they'll keep sending reminders as we get closer. So that puts us back over on the calendar. You want to go to, go to different date. So the calendar is in color. Kyle can print this off We can post it out in the narthex. We can run it on the screens on Sunday mornings so people know what work's coming up that we're responsible for. There may be less work that we need to do once I talk to the contractors and see what they're willing to do. So this calendar will be updated all the time. I'm already getting emails galore because of the calendar, because it's linked to our Google account. So we actually set up a separate Gmail account for just this project to run the emails. We put all of the quotes in, we put all the drawings in. Gina actually sent an email out last night about the meeting. Some of you should have got it, whoever signed up on the sign-up sheets. You want to go to my dashboard? So my dashboard helps me track our progress. Right now, we're not ahead of schedule and we ain't behind schedule. If you look down in the far right corner, there's a list of things that we're able to, and if you hover over them, like I believe the church is responsible for 13 tasks right now. And each individual that's listed that I've put into the program that's going to help us or give us some guidance is listed in there, and it tells me their task, how many tasks that they're responsible for. This is a real good way to control the progress and to manage everything, to try to make this project run as smooth as baby skin. That's the whole object of the goal, because it was hard to say that we got 18 months, and it's hard to commit for 18 months. And I feel that we could have church service in the new sanctuary Easter Sunday in 2024. I think it's very, very doable. I've talked to the contractors, been on the phone with them many a times. They're thinking the same thing, that they don't see a reason that we couldn't be there.
Family has signed up and committed to be a part of the work?
I'll bring my right-hand person. And I'm managing the project, but I've delegated a lot of stuff out. I don't have time for that and take care of other things, so I've reached out to people and asked them to help. Gina knows all about the number of people.
Okay, so far, the families that have filled out the sign-up sheet out front, there's 23 families. And everyone should have got an email last night or this morning if you are on here. So some of you aren't on there, you're not going to get emails telling you what's going on and when you're scheduled and when we need you. So if you prefer a text message, please let us know, because Susie and I are going to do our best to communicate everything to everyone. But like some of the guys I work with, they don't check their email. So if you're not going to check your email, let me know and I'll make a note and you'll just get a text message. If you prefer email only, that's fine. But I can get into this project manager so I can see what's going on, and John's going to let me know, hey, let the flooring people know they need to be ready in 2 weeks. And then I will send out an email and say, hey, we're going to need you in 2 weeks. Then I will send a second one when we are 1 week away. And then I will send a third email when we are 1 day away. So it's very important that you get your information on these sheets so that I can get you in the line of communication. Because our goal is to keep the communication running smoothly so there's no issues and people don't know when and where they're supposed to be. So that's why we're trying to take that over for John. One very important note we need to make is that if you need nursery when you're going to volunteer, that's fine, but you have to let us know ahead of time so we can get the nursery workers. Nursery workers are not going to be here on a regular basis just to see if kids show up. So please let us know ahead of time if you want nursery workers so that we can try to arrange that. Does anybody have a question about the scheduling or the communications? Did anybody not get an email from me about this? You didn't? You're on my list, so, and I didn't get it back. There was a couple I got back, but I reached out to them, but I have you, Jeremy, on my list. So I have 23 people, and I have the list with me, so just see me so that we can review your information. Who? Oh, yeah, there's one out here, but Jeremy, I did you, so there must be a typo in there, so. Christian, I don't have you, so. Okay, yeah. What is the app? Oh. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, Susie's gonna do the text messaging and I'll do the email, so that would be good for her to make it easier. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I know a lot of guys don't do email, but, so I just thought if, so that's why we're trying to do both email and text, so. And then just let me know if you don't want the emails or if I'm, bombarding your email, just let me know and I'll make a note, just send you text. Anybody else? Thanks for that suggestion.
Oh, yeah.
So back on the building side of it, I have a contractors meeting set for Wednesday at 3 o'clock. All 8 of my tradesmen will be here. Everybody, to the block layer, everyone. If we need more meetings, we'll schedule more meetings, but I'll have more information after I meet with the contractors and get a feel. But I've talked to all of them multiple times. So I think we can run this program. I think we can do this. I know we can do this project. It'll take a little bit of work and some ownership, but I think in the end it'll be great. Any questions?
So John, I know the answer, I'm just asking a question. What is our projected breaking ground time that we think we have for this?
Ask PJ?
Well, they have asked us about that because that blends the physical part of what we do here at the church family with the spiritual part of what we do here at the church family. And with this, this is a huge step for all of us. So right now, the only thing that we are waiting on, and I know Andy is not here to give us full answers, but I think Pat has some answers. The only thing that we are waiting on, the appraisal was done Tuesday of this week, and the appraiser that was here told me that he had to have all of his information back to the bank by this Friday. That really is the only full piece that we are waiting on to make sure that that is a green light go financially to the church family. Of course, all of the preliminary stuff, all of the things that the bank has requested, the trustees have already gotten to them. I would like to say attentively, we would like to do a groundbreaking service which would include everyone. That's what we believe here at Lighthouse. We've done it before in the past, and we're going to do it the same even with this project. Everybody will have an opportunity to dig and be a part of groundbreaking, and we would like to preliminary schedule that for July 9th to be able to do the groundbreaking. And if everything goes through well, not only will we do the groundbreaking July 9th, but we do have a baptism that we are trying to get scheduled, actually 2 baptisms right now that we are trying to get scheduled. So as long as everything lines up, we're going to do the baptismal on July 9th regardless, but if we are able to go ahead with groundbreaking, we're going to go ahead and move the baptistry outside where the new building will be and go ahead and do the baptismals out there as well. So that's the pieces that we're waiting on. The only other thing that I'm aware of, and you guys can speak more to this, is Pickaway County Building Department and the time schedule there.
The building department legally has 30 days to look over to the blueprints, but normally they take about 2 weeks right now. So we're on our second week, so if there's any changes, they'll communicate that with Jack, and Jack will communicate. Actually, Jack has really opened up to me. Tonight, like 3:30 today, we got the second story prints. So he's really opened up and being real transparent as far as communication here lately. So, and he told me that it would be, that they would get back in touch with him and then he would let us know. And then once we get the stamped set of prints, we'll get our permits and go from there.
So we still need to vote on this too, right? Because last time didn't we decide that we were voting to move forward with the finances and then get all this information back and then take a vote that we actually move forward?
That's a question for Pat. I'm just,
I thought John Carruthers made that and we all agreed with that vote. Maybe, did I misunderstand? I just want to make sure that we're following what was communicated.
So the general board met and the trustees met and they have agreed and voted unanimously just that we don't need to vote again for the building itself. And that was done in meetings.
We made the vote. I thought moving forward with the finances because we needed to do that. And please, someone correct me if I'm misunderstanding, but I thought that's what we voted on, and that we would gather back before the 6 weeks was up in order to move forward with that vote. So if we did vote that, then I think we've got to retake that vote. I don't think general board or trustees are able to make that vote with it being a congregational vote that was there. I want to make sure we're doing this right, is all I'm saying. And I don't want us not to do it right and things happen, because anytime we start, any church, any organization, you start going into different things, we want to make sure everything is done up and done the right way and communication is taken care of. Otherwise, that's when feelings and everybody starts getting disarrayed, and that's not what it's about. It's about unity.
Well, we'll have to discuss that because the last meeting, that's what we voted.
Last church meeting on the building?
The last board meeting.
Yeah, but can someone just, I mean, I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot, was that what we,
I mean, I felt like we voted to move forward with the loan, and then if we got enough people and the numbers lined up with what we talked about, that we were just moving forward. I didn't understand that we were gonna indefinitely have another meeting to vote. I felt like it was, as long as everything comes in the way we said it was, then we're good to go forward. That's how I understood it.
That was the general consensus of your general board as well in the last meeting.
How many votes did we have
So
for yes?
It was unanimously 100% yes.
So
That weighed in on the decision to not have another vote.
I was gonna say, just from my understanding, and if I'm wrong, that's fine, right? If I misunderstood, but I thought the way John Carruthers presented it, we were just voting move forward with the finances, and that's what I voted on, and that we were meeting again to actually approve whether or not to do the building. Because at that point, we were only gonna be out $500 if we didn't move forward or decide if we were gonna move forward. Because we didn't have the information on the building and everything else, so.
Yeah.
And I'm fine, if I'm the only one that thought that, I'm fine.
No, I mean, the way Andy presented that is correct with Scott, but I mean, to Jeremy's point too, if everybody's on board for the building, I think there were just a lot of unknowns with the money. Like today, better presentation, but we just went from $1.3 million last meeting to 860. And just by us asking questions and coming back and re-looking at it. So I think to Scott's point, there were a lot of uncertainties. One, we didn't know who was gonna help from the church. What we could turnkey, if there was somebody that could build it faster, better, cheaper, and it sounds like, Ryan got us a great contact for that. But my consensus was too, it was just we needed to vote that day because the next day, the bank we were out $500, not 1.3 billion or 900,000. So I think Scott's right, but I'm not saying I disagree with the board either, because if it was 100% when we had more people here last time, I made it. But we did say that we reconvened, but here we go. But what was the total that you had on your sheet at the bottom? Sorry, I've got here just a few minutes late. Was it 860?
So the total building cost that we have figured in right now comes out to $776,000. We added 10%
Okay.
for the overages, because that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Because the guys even told us by the time next year comes around, I'm gonna have to charge more.
Okay.
So there's no way of getting a quote exactly, so we added 10%, so that brought it to 853,000, which the last meeting, the budget was 860. And that's so we're within where we were figuring. The 860 comes from $450,000 loan, the current building fund of 300,000, a anonymous gift of 100,000, and then we also received a cash gift of 10,000. So that totals it to 860. And so that's where the budget was set at. But we're under that budget, but we could, it all depends, you know, if contractors don't charge us a whole bunch, then we're good. But everybody's locked, as far as the contractors locked in, the estimates that they have given us, like EB Builders gave us $248,000 is what they told us for the cost of the building. He said that's at the highest end. So it could come in less than that, but he gave us the worst case scenario price if lumber goes up, whatever. So it may come in either, but that was his estimate. The reason it came in at 260 is because we added the carport and a cupola and the stone to the front. So we were able to save money on the stone. Somebody gave us a quote for $10,000, but we're ended up finding it for four to five. So we found it cheaper. So every time but all the major components are all locked in. So EB Builders is going to do the building. Miller Construction is doing the foundation. Randy, the RSCS Heating and Cooling, who's done all our buildings, is doing the heating and cooling. Tool Electric, which is out of Pickaway County, is doing our electric. And then we have some other ones that we've used before, but those are the major ones, and they've all gave us our actual costs. So we just got the one for the drywall installation, because we were gonna do that before. So that came in at $17,500 to hang, finish, and sand and all the drywall. So we accepted that and added that into the budget. And it still came in, even with adding that trade that we weren't going to do before, it still kept us under where we wanted to be. So the cost that I don't have in the entire building is Chillicothe Fire. So I know what it costs to have the fire system and the alarm system put into this building, but that was extremely labor intensive because the walls are up. And the control panel had to be purchased. Well, the control panel that's in our building here runs that building over there as well. And the installation will be a lot easier because they won't have to go through all the drywall and fish lines and all that stuff. So I just kept it basically what we paid the last time for the same square footage until they tell me otherwise. But I talked to them today. They have to get a hold of the architect to get CAD drawings so they can submit their fire drawings, and then we'll get our estimate. So it's gonna be a while before I have that, but that's the only number that we do not have. So nothing major, is what I mean.
But you have a number in there, you just don't have a confirmed number.
Yes, I had the number that cost us to do this building, same square footage, but this one was harder, so I'm assuming,
Yeah.
I could be wrong, the cost went up, but the control panel's expensive, and we don't have to purchase that. And then there's less rooms, there's a lot less rooms in the new building to have, you don't have to have all the alarms in every one of them. Now, the only thing that will add to it is the 3-hour firewall doors that go between the two buildings will have to have a release on them, like at schools. So if the fire alarm goes off, the door's shut. So that's the only extra cost that will be added to that building that we don't have here.
Pat, for that budget that you just laid out, and I know you shared it with the church family the first meeting, but I think it would be good of us to share again. What all do we get for that cost?
You mean price-wise, or?
How much building do we get? I wanna make sure that the church family knows that, it'll be completed to occupancy on the first floor. On the second floor, the rough ends and all of that will be there, but not to finish.
Correct, and then, so we've already got the plans and a temporary budget for the second floor. It's probably gonna be around $150,000-ish to finish the second floor to make it up to where we can use it, but we don't need it at the moment. This is unheard of, to build a building this size for this price. As I said before, we got quoted for a turnkey without any AV and audio and no chairs, and that was at $1.8 million. That's what they came back and said, it's $180 a square foot. That's what they told Pastor BJ. He said, this is our quote, finish. Now, they could be pretty high because they just don't want to do it, or they're just going to see if we're going to take it, but that's the quote we have. So the appraiser, how that works is the guy they hired, we had to pay the bank, or it's in the closing cost, I should say, the loan. They send him out, I had to send all the prints to the bank, and they send them to him, and he comes here and did an inspection and says, when this building is completed, this is what it's going to be worth. So the bank will only loan up to 65% of your value of your church. So we're still already there because as this property sits as now is appraised at, according to the Waters website, $1 million. So that's $650,000 would be 65%. We're not even asking for that much money. So we'd be good either way. But I would estimate this entire property probably be worth somewhere around $2.25 million when the appraisal comes back. Because if they're going to turnkey it for 1.8, that's what he's going to appraise somewhere around that number. It's all based off of square footage. So, of course, the value would go up once the second floor is completed because that adds another 4,500 square feet to the building. But we're essentially doubling our square feet that we have now. Finished. So that even if you just guess and say we're doubling our square feet, this was appraised at $1 million. If you just add it and make it $2 million, we're only getting $450,000 loan on a $2 million bill. That's a pretty good percentage. So compared to a lot of the other churches, it doesn't make us church poor. And that includes everything. That's including all our furniture, our new chair. Well, these chairs get transferred over, but additional chairs are the same. You're talking about the chairs for in chairs, the tables for in here, parking lot, sound and AV, IT stuff. That's us being able to go into that building and have church service. That's something. So we're not going to have to do any like fundraise. I don't know what, hey, we need 200 chairs. Who wants to help? We're not going to do that. Stuff's all taken care of in the budget. Where before we were worried, well, when you have a builder giving you $70,000 less quote, that really helps out tremendously. So how that worked was the quote that came in from Swiss for $300,000 did not include any windows or exterior walls as far as framing done. EB Builders came in and gave us the windows, the framing, and the lumber included in that, and the labor to build it all, and still came in at $248,000. So if you add what we were going to have to purchase in wood and labor, it was going to be somewhere around $320,000 with Swiss, and now it's $260,000. So that helped out tremendously to be able to get the chairs and stuff, and not have to. And then also the drywall, that helped out tremendously. We don't have to do that. It's a lot of work. So that's the things that we are going to do is I'd say unskilled trade just is what I would say. It is like hanging insulation, blowing in insulation, some walls and stuff like that, but nothing major, heavy that's going to require a bunch of labor. And like he said, there's probably more along the lines of 30 people, 30 families that's on there. Some of them we haven't signed up yet, but there's other families that had say, hey, I'm still going to help. I haven't signed up yet either. So that's a lot of people to choose from when the time's to come. And we're going to provide food. Food is in the budget. Miss Kitty is going to make the meals. So if we have a big church work day on a Saturday, we're going to feed everyone. So that's included in the budget as well. And we still have a cushion, even worst case scenario, if it come in at 6 days, it comes in $880,000. The bank is going to give us up to $600,000. We have to use it, but we have a cushion. So it's not like, oh no, something went up in cost and we can't do it. We have a cushion to be, and that's why Andy gave you a range between $30,000 and $35,000 a year, depending on how much money we actually need. And maybe we need less, it may be even less, I don't know, maybe we get another donation, people, you know, maybe some more people should come to the church, and I don't, when God tells you to build something, he'll take care of it, I'm not worried about the money. And things have already, I mean, I guarantee if you went out today and said, hey, I'm gonna build a church building of 8,000 square feet and be completely turnkey, and you said, I'm gonna do it for $750,000, they would look at you like you're crazy. Because I don't even believe half the numbers I get, to be honest with you. It's amazing. And we went out, and this isn't, just to let you know, John and I probably have over 250 hours at least tied up in this in the last month and a half. So this is not just something that we threw together, this is all real numbers, it's a lot of effort, it's not something we're just winging at. It's,
I guess I got, is the whole building metal,
the outside,
the outside?
yes, the outside of the,
Roof as well?
yes.
Was that picked or selected, or that's what we want? Only reason I'm asking is this is the highest priced metal's been in, I mean, since I've been alive. That's the only reason I'm asking. And the other reason I'm asking is for insulation purposes. Are they OSB in the exterior walls and then putting the metal up, or are they just doing metal like you would a pole barn like at my house?
It's basically a pole barn, and then we'll insulate the inside.
So that's my next question, with even the 2x6 wall, is it as sufficient, heating and cooling wise, over the course of, you know, this church hopefully go on 100, 200 years, you know, your heating and cooling bill is gonna be, would it be higher on a 35-foot ceiling without OSB wrapped? And then the metal, I'm just asking, and then as far as the metal goes on the roof, you know, when it rains, is this gonna be something that hinders when he's preaching, listening to it rain on a metal roof?
No, but they hear everybody else talking.
Well, I'm just curious because.
So you're not gonna lose any insulation factor, because it's still R19 in the walls, the only thing you're losing is OSB. So,
So with ED builders and with the prints that Jack made, they were requiring styrofoam underneath the roof before they put the metal down. Then on top of that, I went with a soundproof, fire-rated, blowed-in insulation. You gotta have R36 value. We gotta have about 10 inches of insulation in that attic. 356 bags is gonna get blowed in up there. We don't have to pay for the blow-in machine, it's free, as long as, however long it takes us to get it blowed in. So, but those were specs on the drawings. The outside exterior walls on the specs of the drawing, it's all wrapped before the metal goes on. And then you put your R19 insulation on the interior of the walls. The footer, what little bit of footers that have to be made, the front footer, the footer along the firewall that's got to go between the two buildings, the exterior footers for the stairwells for future, all are insulated vertically, 36 inches, and it has to be 2 foot out. So 2 foot under the concrete will be insulation, styrofoam. That's the print specs. So, and I've looked at them and looked at them and looked at them. I see them in my sleep now. So, as far as insulation, sound, I don't see a problem. I mean, 12 inches insulation, and then what Jack's requiring, and that'll all be approved with Pickaway County, so it'll have to be done.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's completely building safe.
Right,
I think that is
Sure,
more than
I-
adequate for
right,
any building.
Right.
I'm talking about sound.
right,
Because it's, I mean, to my understanding, it's a big open auditorium. It could be sufficient, but
Right.
I mean, I know what it sounds like,
right.
even, my house PJs, I mean, you know what I mean? I'm
Sure,
just
I mean,
asking
the
a
rain,
question.
the rain really beats, but those are the specs that's been submitted. I mean, I'm just able, God's given me that gift to read them blueprints. PJ sent me the truss prints, and I was all excited, because I gotta finally read prints with wind loads and shear loads, so. But being able to look at the prints and see what the specs were and what the requirements were, so. The styrofoam under the roofing, like I said, I haven't talked to Evie about that part. They may even put bubble wrap under it too. A lot of times they've been doing that with metal roofs too. They'll wrap, bubble wrap overhang to overhang, and then they put the metal roof on to help for sound too. I know that was pretty successful with a building we had done in the city. They put bubble wrap under it. I don't hear much rain. I mean, you still hear it, just like being in your house. When it's really pouring rain down, you're gonna hear some. So, but as far as the specs on the drawing, those are the stuff that's,
And I mean, just curious, if we did vertical, granted, I don't wanna pick the side, that's not what I'm asking, but like, if you did a vertical whiteboard and batten, something similar to metal, that, not even about the R value, but it's just cheaper. I mean, has that been, or is that even an option? I mean, if it's metal the whole way, then that question's just,
I haven't had that conversation with Evie. I know metal's high. It's outrageous. I mean, I'll be honest with you. When they wanted to do the open floor trusses, beautiful things, they looked at hybrid trusses. Pat called me in a panic. Couldn't believe the cost. And I knew it was going to be high because it was metal and wood both. Steel's high. So I reached out to a High Valley truss. We got wooden ones for half the price of what the metal ones were going to cost. So, I mean, I know steel's high right now. And, to tell you budgetarily wise, the first quote I got for insulation, and then I went and redid it again, it went up $500. Now, when we go to get ready to do it, it may come back down. But things change so much, and that's why, as much as we can lock in on our end of the building stuff that we need to get, I can order the whole package, pay for it, and go pick it up as I need it from Lowe's. They're going to keep it. So as we need it, we go pick it up and they check it off. So they're going to kind of be like a warehouse for us. Grateful that they can do that.
oh yeah.
Because if we can lock in on low prices, I mean, plumbing stuff, I got 50% off. I mean, I bought all the toilets for, I think they ended up being like $70 a toilet. So, I mean, the savings is there, it's just, and I'll do my diligence in buying. If it's high someplace, I'll go get another quote, resubmit it, and try to get the price lower again. That's how I do. I work each other, working against each other, but.
Some of the products, anything you do right now, building wise, stuff's gonna be high and stuff's gonna drop, you really can't. You
Right.
can't just stall a project because of that or go
Right.
a completely different route.
Right.
You gotta take into account that we have a really good rate from the bank. It's
Right.
gonna save us a lot of money. And there's gonna be some things that are high, some things that are low, lumber's come down from a year ago. Like last year, if we did it, lumber would have been sky high. Now
We
it's down.
can sit here and talk right now tonight, and a hurricane can hit next week, and we're gonna be paying high lumber prices. That's just the nature of the game. So,
I agree with that.
I mean, the sooner we can lock the prices in, you know, the better we will be as a church to keep this as under budgeted as we can do.
As far as the sound, if you're asking in the building, we have a professional company that we've already spoke with that's gonna come in and lay the sound out, and they didn't see it was a problem.
That's what we were just talking about, Tom's Barn, he's got insulation, 12 inches insulation, he's got a metal roof, and it pounds. Now, not as much as it does in mine, because I don't have insulation. Mine just, I mean, it's just pounding. But I would just,
But you probably have soundproofing inside.
you have to, yeah, I mean, it may just be the work. I mean, you may save 60,000 on the bill, and you may save, with the roof, you may save 50% just by putting shingles up there, 50-year shingles, and I know they have to be replaced at some point, but, I mean, I would just hate for the roof to go on, and it's just, it bugs him every time he puts it. I mean,
To give you a little insight on the roof, it was kind of funny. When we were at the retreat, Pastor PJ and I went to see Jack. We get sitting there and I get talking Jack's language and he says, oh, by the way, if you was to put a metal roof on your existing building, you wouldn't have to build the firewall up above the gable. You know, it's I kind of thought to myself, why didn't you tell us this in the beginning? Because we could put a sheet of fire-rated plywood up the side, run the block wall, and go across it with a flat metal roof, and you're done. So there's some benefits to metal, and there's some benefits to shingles. And you know, by the time we get there, maybe prices still come down. I doubt it. But we can pray about it. They might come down. But the only steel that we are responsible for is the I-beams and the metal post. That's the only part we're responsible for.
And that's for the floor trusses.
It's for the floor trusses. So the rest of it's, I mean, that's easy. I mean, if the metal price goes up, he's locked in on a price. So, but I can understand, but those were the technical parts of the drawings that all of you haven't seen. And I haven't. I carry them with me all the time. You can ask my wife, I got them all the time. I even had drawings where I was on vacation, but I didn't have the hard drawings. But I always got the drawings with me, just for people who have questions about it. And all of our contractors have drawings. Jim Huffelfinger, he's going to do our plumbing. He's got a complete set of drawings. I've got everybody a complete set of drawings. Any other questions?
I just wanted to ask about the parking lot. It was my understanding we couldn't do anything else with the parking lot blacktop-wise to finish it because of the third edition. And it was my understanding when we got that finished, we would have a blacktop parking lot. And it would be nice to have lined parking spaces.
As far as the line, that's pretty simple to do, but the parking lot part,
We
that's,
used to line the gravel out here, but it doesn't stay.
well, no, I mean, it won't stay on gravel, it's, I
But it
mean,
was just my understanding, that's why we couldn't finish this parking lot, because they was waiting on the third edition, because of the heavy trucks and stuff coming
Right.
in.
right.
That was the reason why we couldn't finish it. So why can't we finish it now?
We can, but it's gonna increase the cost a couple $100,000.
But if different things, there's gonna be, we could be saving on some stuff, why can't we use that money to finish the parking lot?
Well, we could look at the end, there's still another phase of that building, which is the second story. So that building isn't complete yet. That's phase 3, and then there's 3.5. So if
But
you,
no heavy equipment will be coming in to finish the top part of it.
no, so
everything is being put off that was promised at one time.
I don't remember ever.
When was that promised?
Blacktop on the parking lot being promised. I'm just.
Well, not promised, but that was the reasoning that we could never do it.
I don't think figuring out pavement right now is a good idea, because I know it's sky high.
It's worse than stone.
Yeah, I mean, it's really high right now. So much oil goes into it, and that's a huge factor. So it probably would be something that we would wanna hold off until it comes down some, because it'll add a lot of cost.
The parking lot that's done in the drawings is completed, so there's a parking lot to go north and a parking lot to go west. So there's enough room and it's gonna be done with the same base to be prepared for the pavement, just like it's out there, so you don't have to pay for the base again, it's done. But it's just very, very, very expensive. I mean,
Stone is expensive.
stone is another.
Oh, stone's just outrageous.
So just to do the north side of Stone is $375 tons of gravel. That's just the north side of gravel. That's 6 inches deep, and that's us doing one labor. That's at $15,000.
I mean, just to give you, and I'm biting my fingernails on it, we've got stone for the building budgeted at $6,000. And I'm really biting my nails if $6,000 will do it, because stones went outrageous.
Yeah.
It was just a question.
Oh, sure, and I understand, I mean, I'm not opposed to getting an estimate, but that's all it's gonna be, because you're probably looking at $300,000 or $400,000 worth of asphalt.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah, I mean, it's a chunk of change right now with the asphalt.
But it's not, do we want to have an asphalt pavement? Yes. But the most important thing for the ministry is to get seats. And if that means that to park on gravel until we can afford it, then we gotta do that to get it. That's the most important thing. But yes, I still want to have a paved driveway because it's much easier for clearing stone, it's much better. But then you also gotta add, there's a lot more maintenance. So just to give you an idea, we went from $1,500 to seal what we had to almost $6,000 to seal what we now have. And then I gotta maintain, so everything that we add, we just keep adding every year extra costs as well. So the more asphalt you have, the more you gotta seal, the more paint you gotta do, because every time you seal it, you gotta paint the lines, and that all adds up to cost as well. So we're trying to keep, we're doubling our square footage, which also doubles your electric bill, which also doubles your gas bill. So when we're figuring the budget in from the board, we have to double those utilities to make sure that the payment is not gonna be outside of what we have. So those things have to go into it as well. And then cleaning costs are gonna go up, because you can't expect a cleaning lady to clean twice as much square footage for the same price. But hopefully the lawn mowing goes down, because he's not mowing as much. So there's. Probably not.
So can we say if the blacktop is scratched, can we get lines painted for parking spaces?
The lines is not a problem, yes, we can do that.
Because, I mean, it is, seems like the parking is just every which way out there now. And it's like a jigsaw puzzle trying to get out when all the cars are parked.
And I think when we do the north end and opening it up, so 35 feet north, past that little mound, that mound will be taken out. That's gonna open things up better also, so that'll make, and then, I know what you're saying, if we just, even if we just had permanent straight lines where everybody could know they could park, perhaps we could do something different than paint to make those straight lines that everybody pulls into a little bit more permanent. And I agree, it does, and that way everybody knows that, well, hey, I need to line my front of my car or the back or whatever this way, all the way up to here. So, but we have, spray paint's cheap, and the marking little box thing that they use for baseball fields is $60, $70, so that's definitely feasible, for sure. I mean, obviously in the winter, it doesn't help much out, but Susie plows it one time, the line's gonna be gone. But-
say too, on the blacktop part, obviously not in budget, but if we could, and I can help with this too, like contact Eigel, Shelley and Sands, they do perform work for churches for free as their write-off. And I don't know that they would give us the full lot that we would need, but even if they could get 100 feet by the width or whatever, you know, just as if, you know, basically asking for some help because of the church, they can get as a write-off. I think that might be our avenue to get pavement sooner than later. 'Cause it is, the price is crazy.
So the gravel that's out there now is already completed for base, all it needs is.
Oh, I get it, yeah.
So if they would find something that we've done that before.
You just need 3 inches of asphalt.
That's all we need, the
Yep.
drains are done and whatever, so if they're willing to help out, and it's only gonna cost us, you know, we may have $50,000 left over. If they say, hey, I'll do this, you write me off this much money in 40 grand, then yeah, that's worth it. But we just don't have 200,000 to throw at.
That's what I'm saying. I wasn't trying to get you to budget it, but
So
I got something going on.
So do you have the contact?
I have 2 contacts. I can't guarantee they're gonna do it, but I do have 2.
I'm good at delegating, so I'm gonna put you in the delegation of that.
You need a red hat,
Red one.
a red one, Milwaukee hat.
I can probably get one.
Oh man, Ronnie's got his shirt on. He's ready. He's ready to work.
So,
But yes, if you wanna find that out and let us know.
yeah,
just
find
know
it
they
out,
do that
let us
stuff.
know.
Like, and the other thing too, I don't know what your hardscape package looks like. Concrete, stuff like this, if they can't do the asphalt on the bigger scale, you know, I know Eigel can come in and do some sidewalks, some entryways, you know, maybe a couple islands like, you know, for parking lots or whatever. I don't know the hardscape package at all, but I just throwing it out there for
Right.
a possibility, because like right now, they're not gonna do anything, but maybe, you know, October, November, when it's time for write-offs before the plant shut down, it might be go time.
You know, something else too, we could do is we could purchase the concrete parking blocks. If we can't get the pavement, and put them up, and just set them all the way out to where everybody knows where they pull in, and you just have to mark them where the snowplow guy would be not too happy. We could do it.
I don't even like islands.
But Ms. Janet, we'll try to do something for sure. Make it better.
It was just a question.
We'll figure something out.
A sign that says Janet's Parking. No.
Eric?
Couple of things. I haven't heard anything about, you know, we need to discuss safety on this project. You know, just as a church family, when we come in here to work on stuff, we can't be coming in here with our sandals on.
No, I mean, once we get, and I'm not opposed to have another meeting, once we determine when the build's really gonna happen, to just address that. I mean,
And
I'm
like
sure we're gonna have, it'll be a hard hat area because it's 20-foot walls. You know, we'll have to have boots, tennis shoes, I mean,
And likewise with the contractors, you know, I don't know where OSHA falls in on this, but if we have a contractor up on a ladder not tied off, and we get fined, who pays that?
that's on the contractor.
Okay, that's in the
That's,
contract.
that's on the contractor.
And they too have to have their PPE, right?
Yeah, they have to have their PPE. But I'm sure,
There was also risk insurance in your quote. wasn't
right,
there?
there's
So
risk
that-
insurance.
That would cover stuff
So
like that.
that's even required by the bank as part of the loan, was I actually have to list the bank as a party on the policy and send it to them. And so it's $1,400 for a year, and that's, that was with the budget, and then that covers everybody, including the church, members at work if something would fall, or it relieves, the insurance would cover, and it gives us $5 million in coverage. And then that will just continue then, so basically how they do it is, that $1,400 is another expense, that's what's gonna cost us to insure that place, or or the entire building when it's completed. They look, if they just add that policy like it's built and include the risk insurance on there, and then when the building's built, they just drop that off. So it,
You know, like on Saturday, when church comes in there, we're here about for fellowship and have a good time, but we have to be safe about what we're doing.
Oh, yeah, I mean, safety's
we don't want
number one, I
somebody to
mean,
get hurt.
nobody wants to get hurt, I don't wanna get hurt, you know?
And then I got another question. Is Martin gonna be able to watch his parking lot 24 hours a day?
We're gonna put Martin up on the roof, big rifle, he gonna, I actually addressed that with Martin some time back to look to see if we needed to add video cameras and additional lighting. That was pretty soon after they kinda pointed me to the project manager, because that is something that is very high. You know, even though it's a church, they'll pull in and rip you off in a heartbeat, not think twice about it. We've also, as trustees, discussed getting maybe a metal trailer for storage so we can lock it, but I know how that goes too, because they'll just cut the locks off and go on. But the lighting issue and adding more cameras has definitely been a topic to watch things out. And then as the build goes, I mean, back in the day when my dad and I built, we'd actually hire an off-duty officer to be guard at night when we were having electrical and plumbing run. Just didn't take the chance on them ripping us off with the copper.
That might be worth the, I think.
Sure, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. And you know, we do have a way to permanently lock the cable across, but don't drive over banks. They'll get whatever they need to get. But, you know, we have discussed that, what we may have to put in place.
anyone ever grab a trailer when we use the,
And-
recycling and that stuff.
You know, to make the project fun, I've asked the worship team to actually have some concerts for us while we're working in the building, to sing for us, instead of listening to music, let them play. On Saturdays, probably the coffee shop's gonna come over and give us some coffee and stuff. I've reached out to different people for different things, to just kinda make it a fellowship and an enjoyable time to work, instead of being all serious. Work, cause it gets rough. Last month's been pretty rough, we made it through it.
John, are we still getting that excavator for the entirety of the project?
We're getting a backhoe for the entire project. Miller, Steve, told me we don't have to dig no trenches. He'll take care of every trench we need dug.
Good.
So, you know, basically that's all I've got on the build part. I mean, just trying to communicate and make sure everybody knows what kind of work's coming up, when it's coming up. The only other thing that I want to add is biblically, I'm trying to stay as biblically with it as possible, so we are going to put a diamond in the foundation. That's where it starts at. Every place I've read starts with a diamond, the hardest stone on the earth. So we're going to stick a diamond in this foundation, so it'll last. That's all I've got. PJ?
The only thing I got is some scripture and prayer. First of all, I want to say thank you to all of you. Thank you to the trustees. I know there's been a lot of work, a lot of conversations, a lot of things that have gone into to this, and I know when we first started, when they first approached me about building and the concern that it had to be the way that old picture was out there, that's the least of our worries. Our worry is people and souls that need to be prepared and ready to go to heaven. And ours that sit in this room are part of that. And so I know John approached Scott, myself, and Jim, and Andy, and asked us about Scripture for this time that we're in. And, well, I've got two. Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 3, endeavoring to keep the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. Psalms 133 and verse 1, behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. And I think first and foremost, as we begin this venture, unity has to absolutely be one of the primary things that we focus on. There are going to be differences of opinion. There's always going to be those kinds of things. But we need to strive to be biblically unified together for a greater cause, and that is the souls and the hearts of people for eternity. And so let's pray. Father, we love you. God, we thank you so much for your goodness and your love. Thank you for the talent. Thank you for the hearts that you have placed in this church family. I pray, God, that you will just go before us, that you will be with us. Lord, I pray that you will just hold us together with the bond of grace and unity. I pray, God, that you will just allow our primary focus will be the hearts of people coming to know you, following you, discipling others to know you. And Lord, I pray that you will just continue to use this church family to transform this community and ultimately your world. We pray that you are honored by all that we say, all that we do, in Jesus' name. And all God's church family said, amen and amen.